Hello everyone and welcome to another Total War Warhammer live BattleCast. In this game we're going to be playing Norsca and we are facing off against the Beastmen. So I usually like to use Throg in this matchup because again he has regeneration, he has anti-large and good armor piercing values, both of which are very useful against like Gorbles and Cygors and things like that. But this game I wanted to try something a little bit different. So Wulfric the Wanderer on a horse is pretty cheap. I think he's usually like 200 or 300 cheaper than Throg. So I'm going to see if the Hunter of Champions in conjunction with some of these Skin Wolfrik'S will work out a little bit better than Throg, because again you save a little bit of money and you know what, I just kind of wanted to try something new at the end of the day. So for our front line, we do have some Berserkers. So the Berserkers are going to do well versus Gore Herds and, lightly armored Beastmen infantry. Granted, they will struggle very, very badly against, best scores. But what we're doing to remedy that situation is we do have several groups of Famir Warriors. So these are the Famir Warriors with great weapons. There's two variants, one without great weapons and one with. So these ones do have an anti-large bonus, which is pretty nice, and I'm hoping that that bonus will help against, like things I was saying, like Gorbles and, different units that you typically see in the Beastmen roster. Also, they should do well against the Bestigors, and the armor sundering, how much does it do? 30, so it'll bring them down to, what, 70 armor, 60 armor, give or take? I think Bestigors have 100, so it should be 70, which then, allows the Berserkers to shine a little bit. Granted, they hit hard on their own, so it's not like their Berserkers have to do all the work. So that's going to be our front line right there. In the back, we do have some spears. So the spears we're just going to put in the flanks just to kind of help out against Centaurs and other units that might come around our back. And good, that should be nice right there. Great. So we do have Wulfric the Wanderer. We're going to put him kind of over on the side. So what I like to do with Wulfric is get him up and around the side of the army and then cast a Sea Fang like right down the flank. And that can do some devastating damage for sure. We did bring metal. The not Lore of Death. I was going to say the Lore of Final Transmutation. It might as well be called that because it's the most useful spell by far. It's extremely good for like taking out Gorbles and other high value targets. Honestly, like I don't always target Morker. Sometimes I'll just take out the Gorbles and kind of go from there. If you can be really on top of it and like see a unit has like low HP or something like that, you can like get them away from Morker and actually mitigate his effects pretty heavily. Granted, I'm not very good at that myself, but I like to think I am. Cool, so let's go ahead and get rolling. We do have some Centaurs with great weapons, some Poison Warhounds, so it looks like he was actually looking to pick a fight with my Cav, which I did not bring. So we're definitely doing a bit more of a Famir Warrior build, and it's going to be good in the front line. We will struggle a little bit against Bestigors with our Berserkers, but if the Famir Warriors can just sit on them and beat on them for a while, we should be A-okay. Because again, they have decent melee defense, 35 compared to the 20 of Bestigors. They do have 110 armor, so they're pretty resilient against like Ungor Raiders and different units like that, so... And these guys are just monsters. I definitely need to get some good value out of these because they're extremely expensive. They did get changed in the most recent hotfix and got a pretty big cost increase. So we're going to be gooning as Gorble for sure. And Wulfric the Wanderer can use the Hunter of Champions to slow them down. And hopefully we can thrive from there. Cool. So let's go ahead and take a look. He's got some Gore Herds with shields. He's got Bestigor, so I like the diversified front lines. It's pretty good. He does also have Minotaurs with shields, which are a bit of an interesting pick, but he's probably expecting Javelins, because Javelins, again, that would help mitigate a lot of the damage that Javelins could do. So in the back, he does have two groups of two symmetrical groups, Centaurs with Warhounds over there, which I like a lot. I love that combination because Centaurs are very squishy, so they don't do well taking like initial shock damage. But if you can absorb that with some Chaos Warhounds, you can really get your bang for your buck. So man, I hope he keeps those. I hope Gorble and this Bray Shaman of Death. What does he have? He has Fate of Buna and Spirit Leech, so he has the very typical suit here. I definitely wish that, I'm starting to wish I'd brought Throg because Spirit Leech is definitely going to be very good versus Wulfric. So we're going to kind of lurk him right here and just wait for the opportunity. We're keeping our Werekin nearby, and the Spear should be just fine for kind of zoning those guys. Cool. So we're going to advance right here. We're going to get these guys here, these guys pushing in here. These two can go in here, and these ones can go in here. The spears, yeah, we can keep the spears in the back and just kind of, form a screen. So Wulfric, we can get him engaged and just look for a Sea Fang opportunity here. And we do have the overcasted metal. Oh, this is perfect. Stay right there. Don't move. Just stay right next to each other. That's going to be A-okay. Great. So our forces are kind of underway here, and we should smash on some of those guys. So he looks to be trying to find an opportunity here. The Skin Wolf Werekin, we can engage with some spears, and actually, let's sneak them up through the pocket, and save that final transmutation for now. So we'll pop the leadership, Sea Fang. Is there a good Sea Fang line right here? We might be able to get something right there. That should be okay. Great, so these spears will pull in a little bit tighter here, and we're able to just crunch that line, like brutal crushing. So these units are now going to go after this unit here, and Wulfric can go ahead and finish that caster off. And our spears, man, look how hard that front line just crushed that Beastman front line. That was incredible. So we're going to go ahead and get this cast right here, and we're going to cast it on this Bray Shaman. I just want to mitigate his magic, and we can deal with Morker last. And if it's going to be one of those like really short, fast battles, we might as well just take out his caster and different things like that. But man, I hate when my caster gets knocked over and then he's not able to cast. So So our main line here seems to be doing okay. Our spears in the back line are still kind of zoning out some units. I mean, they're getting swarmed there, but it's really not that big of a deal. So we'll pull our spears right here, and yeah, our goon squad here is doing some excellent work. So right now we're going to switch to Morker, and you know, WULFRIK plus those guys is really, really sturdy, guys. So we're going to go ahead and cast the Hunter of Champions to make him very squishy, and I would cast like a Plague of Rust to kind of lure him even further, but cool. So our blob here is actually getting kind of zerged a little bit. So some of our forces did overextend. So basically we're just going to kind of try and goon all of his heroes and lords and everything. What's going on here? Is he like getting pushed? But it looks like Big Daddy Gorbel's coming back. So we're going to get the Gorbel going on him as well. Looks like we're going to have a good old fashioned brawl right here, which should be fun. So let's get those Famir Warriors coming in. And the Famir Warriors might actually be, yeah, we'll have them crush those best scores. So we have a little bit of a pocket here, but a lot of my opponent's forces are doing pretty well, like his fodder troops and everything. But, oh, it's Seafang. Seafang's going to be pretty good here. So we're going to cast it right through the main pocket. And honestly, I think our heroic forces can win and can kind of just drag this fight into oblivion. So we're going to kind of try and finish. Oh, that's actually Khazrak. I was like, oh man, Khazrak or Morker seems a little tankier than he usually is. God, I just was not paying attention. I would not be targeting Khazrak, that's for sure. But regardless, we seem to be in okay shape. It's a very knockdown, drag-out fight. We have some berserkers left, and I'd love if this caster would come back right now. That would be so incredibly nice. So good. We have your stand your ground, so let's go ahead and pop that right now. Just kind of keep fighting the good fight. We got a scroll of shielding here. We have some of our werekin fighting, and where are our spears? Yeah, we need to get those guys back. So our Famir Warriors seem to be fighting the good fight, though, and WULFRIK is really, really taking a lot of damage. This is where Throg would be a better pick, because he's not going to just get wrecked by this Gorbel. So let's get them focusing on him, and WULFRIK, if we can kind of squeak him out the back, we'll be in really good shape from there. We want to kill that Metal Sorcerer before he's able to come back here. Great. So our own caster is back, which is excellent. We have some Berserkers, so we'll send them into the main fight as well. And good. We have a lot of Famir Warriors who are actually starting to win their fights in their respective areas. So let's pull them back to the main fight. Go after Big Daddy Gorbel, and WULFRIK's kind of just hanging out nearby. We definitely want to make sure he's relatively close. We do have Final Transmutation, so we're going to cast that here, and oh, come on, juke him out. Come on, you're faster than him. Run, you fool. So we're just going to fight. You know, we're not going to get away. That was kind of noobish of me. I should have just charged him. But, you know, WULFRIK's going to stand and fight. We do have a Seafang that we're probably going to save for now until, you know, there's a more ideal scenario. And where's our caster? Did he get routed off? Oh, those Minotaurs came and finished him off. But the last of our forces should collapse here and be able to work these guys down. And Gorbel is no match for the eternal challenger with his good old pal Werekin over here. So our other Werekin in the pocket is holding down. You can see the Famir Warriors are just kind of clubbing some of these guys. Great durability from them. But, you know, his front line collapsed incredibly quick, but he was able to really kind of recover there. But you can see the Werekin are a very, very good answer for Gorbel. So we're going to kind of do a little bit of a juke right there. Oh, that was sweet. Did you guys see that? Just the two headbutts colliding right there. That was freaking awesome. Oh, man, I haven't seen something like that in a while. That was fun. So the build worked. I think it was pretty good. Yeah, I would have liked to see like Korok's Man Rippers, and, you know, Morker I think would have helped a little bit, you know, because he did crunch on some of my Berserkers pretty quick there, actually. I thought my front line just completely dominated him, but then he had some good rear charges with these Centaurs, and they do have good armor piercing, so they can actually do okay damage against the Famir. But nonetheless, these Famir with the Great Weapons do have anti-large, so they were able to kind of club down a lot of those Cav, as well as the Bestigors. So it's a very good kind of jack-of-all-trades unit in this matchup. They can deal with Minotaurs, they can deal with, you know, Bestigors, they can deal with, you know, Bestigors, yeah, and Centaurs, and you know, Cygors, and pretty much all of the different things that the Beastmen can bring to the table. I'm trying to think what the Beastmen would do to, you know, counteract the Famir Warriors. What would be the best play there? The Korok's Man Rippers would be a very, very good answer. Just for, like, they have exponentially higher melee attack, much higher melee defense. They have anti-large, they have armor piercing. They would probably tear up Famir Warriors pretty good. So I think that's kind of a staple. Also, Minotaurs with great weapons on paper, but those ones always seem to be a little bit haggard. So maybe the Minotaurs, the Regiment of Renown, the cowhide ones with the regeneration might be okay. But honestly, Morker is just a very helpful answer. And Gorbels do pretty well against Famir Warriors as well. But when you have this like hunting squad, the Skinwolf Werekins plus WULFRIK, we were able to just snipe that Deathcaster. We were able to then snipe the Gorbel and really put a huge dent in Khazrak. Granted, I wonder who would last longer. If you just put it like objectively, you have Khazrak fighting against like two Werekin, would he last longer than Morker? It's hard to say. Because Morker does have regeneration. Even though his defensive stats probably aren't as good as Khazrak, it feels like he just lasts so long. But yeah, very well played to my opponent, Matt. Look forward to seeing you again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this Norsca Famir Warrior build. Alright guys, so that last game was a little bit short, so I decided to tack on an extra game for you guys. In this match, I'm going to be playing the Greenskins led by Azag the Slaughter. And guys, we're going to be facing off against the Warriors of Chaos led by Prince Sigvald the Magnificent. So let's jump right into this game and take a look at the army compositions, and we can go from there. So on the front line, I do have mostly Black Orcs. Well, not mostly, but all Black Orcs. So Black Orcs are a pretty good kind of core infantry versus the Warriors of Chaos. They trade well with Forsaken. You know, they can also deal with Chaos Warriors with great weapons. But from a cost analysis standpoint, I think the Chaos Warriors are a little bit more cost effective. Black Black Orcs, if I'm not mistaken, cost around 1,000 gold or 1,100. I can't remember off the top of my head. And I know Chaos Warriors are, with great weapons, are quite a bit cheaper, but from a stat analysis, these guys have 34, 22, and 42 compared to the 34, 34, and 39. So these Chaos Warriors have a little bit less weapon strength, but these ones also do have the metal shifting, so their true weapon damage is a little bit lower, or weapon strength. But nonetheless, you know, their melee attack and melee defense are pretty good compared to Black Orcs. Granted, Black Orcs do have 110 armor compared to the 100, and 83 leadership on these guys to the 83 on them, so pretty darn even. But regardless, Black Orcs are quite a bit more expensive. But in the front line, all Black Orcs, again, very safe pick there. In the back line, I do have a bunch of Goblin Archers, the Rusty Errors, and 3 groups of Goblin Archers. So even though Kolek did get a kind of a makeover, and he now has 100 armor, is much more durable, it's still very important to have that missile presence. If you just have these giant Shaggots running around and just pounding on your Black Orcs, you need to be pressuring them while they're doing that, or else they're just going to run rampant, and their mass is going to be too much for your infantry to handle. So having the Goblin firing line is essential. And also, guys, with the new inclusion of Regiments of Renown, so the Demon Spew are very good. They have that -8 melee attack to all nearby troops with their Swarm of Flies, and I think they're over here. So let's go ahead and look and confirm that is indeed correct. So they do have the Swarm of Flies, 8 melee attack. So these guys are a prime time target for Goblin firing lines, and you can tear them apart pretty quick. But more importantly, guys, the Swords of Chaos. So the Swords of Chaos are one of the new Regiments of Renown, and they are incredibly powerful. If left unchecked, these guys will massacre, just absolutely massacre your Black Orcs. They have very, very high weapon strength of 57. On top of that, they do have a bonus versus infantry of 18 and good armor-piercing value. So against Black Orcs, they can just cut your front line to pieces. So, honestly, my advice to you guys would be, if you're in this matchup, just get all your Goblin firing lines and just slam them into these Swords of Chaos. It won't seem like a lot of damage at first, but by the end of the battle, they'll be, cut down, and you should be just fine. So aside from that, I do have some Goblin Wolfrider Archers and the Morgreps Mangy Marauders on the far side, who are going to be just clipping the wings of these Forsaken. Azag up here, who is just a beast. This guy is, he has Fate of Buna, firstly, which is extremely good against expensive Chaos Infantry. He has Spirit Leech, just in case he's in a duelist situation, and I actually decided to try and bring the, the Aspect of the Dread Knight. So I can imbue this on a friendly unit, which is going to lead them to cause terror. And as you guys know, I complain about in a lot of videos, the Warriors of Chaos, for some reason, aren't immune to psychology, most of their units. The ones with Frenzy will be, but once their leadership wavers a little bit and the Frenzy wears off, that's going to drop. But more importantly, these Chaos Warriors in the back and these Chosen with halberds he has are not immune to psychology, so they're probably going to terror out if I use that correctly. I also do have a Hammer of Gork, a Night Goblin Shaman in the back. So guys, bringing magic against Greenskins is very dicey, because the sneaky stealing on the Night Goblin Shaman is really going to neuter, magic play, essentially. Hammer of Gork, and yeah, that's it. So my opponent, he has a ton of Forsaken. Forsaken are pretty good against Greenskins, generally speaking. Granted, I don't like them as a frontline troop. Rather, I like to have Chaos Warrior core and then Forsaken on the far sides, because then the Forsaken could go around, and most Greenskin players aren't going to defend their flanks with Black Orcs. They're going to defend them with nasty skulkers or orc boys or something cheaper. All units that Forsaken can typically beat. So I like to use them on the flanks with the exception of the Demon Spew, and kind of use the Chaos Warriors in my core. But regardless, guys, let's get rolling. He also does have Sigvald, and yeah, that looks to be it. So you can see over here on the wings, I'm already kind of clipping on these Forsaken, and that's why I really, really love the Mangy Marauders. You can see we're able to kill 2 Forsaken there, and over the course of a whole battle, it might not seem like a lot before the fighting starts, but it really adds up and can do a lot of damage. And what I like to do is shoot the back and then move them up and around the back here and just start shooting them from the back, and it seems to really be helpful in kind of crushing the line. So you can see he's coming in pretty heavy with these Swords of Chaos. They're going to do some great shock damage against my Black Orcs, and it's going to be rough. So you can see the Black Orcs and the Swords of Chaos colliding. That's actually a pretty darn cool cinematic. So those Black Orcs are going to take a lot of shock damage against that AP of those guys, and of course the Forsaken are going to follow up. Thankfully they don't sunder armor, but the Black Orcs still take a lot of damage. But immediately all my Goblin Archers are like, alright, we got to take these guys out. So I start just peppering the center line. I also do use a Fate of Buna over here on these Chaos Warriors with the Great Weapons, and target them with the Hammer of Gork, because this is one of the only true armor-piercing units he has aside from the Swords of Chaos. So I figured, hey, the Black Orcs, if they just have to fight Forsaken, they're going to last all day, but against the armor-piercing, they might struggle a little bit. But regardless, my center pocket is kind of starting to collapse a little bit. You can see my Black Orcs here are very, very low. They're at about 36 models, and just getting beaten on by those Swords of Chaos and that Chaos Sorcerer. I did land with my Lord, but he did use a Final Transmutation on me and a Scroll of Leeching, so he was able to kind of, do some heavy burst. Granted, now that he's cast that once for 15 Winds of Magic, he's probably not going to be able to cast any other spells. So I noticed my front line was faltering with these Black Orcs, so I put some nasty Skulkers in reserve, and I just continue to shoot at those Swords of Chaos. So they're getting whittled down, guys. They have 90 armor, which is still a lot, but nonetheless, that perpetual just peppering fire from these 4 groups of archers is definitely going to take them down. So my nasty Skulkers get in there with their Prison Shanks, and they're just going to start cutting these guys down. And what an undignified way to go for these Swords of Chaos. Archaon's personal bodyguard to be slain by these nasty Skulkers. Azag's kind of flying overhead. He did cast Aspect of the Dread Knight on the far side. I think it's worn off by now, but it actually did terror out a few of his units. And you can see in the back, I'm just leaving my Goblin Archers just to shoot at these guys and essentially keep them routed. So they're definitely not going to come back. So I was able to really crush this side of the battlefield. So you can see my Black Orcs and Nasty Skulkers are going to come back in and just jump all over these Chaos Warriors. It's going to be some good stuff. Azag's able to come in and, you know, jump on that Chaos Sorcerer with metal. And, you know, it's looking pretty grim. Pinsigwald, he's trying his best, but most of his army has abandoned him. Abandoned. A bit of a, I don't know why that was a tongue twister for me. Very strange. But regardless, the Chaos Warriors here, 26 models. I mean, it's looking like cleanup time for the Greenskins here, but like I'm saying, guys, that Goblin firing line, like, they might not seem like a lot of damage in the beginning, but those Swords of Chaos went down incredibly quick. And the Nasty Skulkers and Auxiliary were able to come up and really just kind of chew those guys down and pop that Smoke Bomb, which was, you know, able to kind of keep them in check. Regardless, I think Swords of Chaos are a very important pick in this matchup. If you are playing Chaos, you must bring them. I think they are a staple. Greenskins don't typically like Lord Snipe, but again, with Azag, you can. I mean, he has huge damage, 480 weapon strength, plus poison. He can definitely take out Lords and Casters very quickly, so it's nice to have that Swords of Chaos. But on top of that, one of the big mistakes, or not big mistakes per se, but a critique of this build that my opponent brought was that he had no Hounds in the back. Like, Chaos has a fairly mobile faction. I would have liked to see him, you know, using the Chaos Warriors and Aspiring Champions in the front line and running around my flanks with the Forsaken. He kind of blobbed them into the front, and I was able to just fight them back with my Black Orcs. Had they been going up and around my flank, or he had some Poison Warhounds chasing my Goblins, I didn't really have that much defense in the back, so I think that would have been very good for him. But regardless, very well played to my opponent, Linux FR. Look forward to seeing you again on Ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this live battle cast and post-game cast. Have an excellent night, guys, and take care.